Stop scrolling for a moment because the story that shook fans yesterday just took an even more emotional turn. What happened after that quiet conversation between Joseph Zeng and Bai Lu has now surfaced, and the details are leaving fans speechless. When Joseph Zeng calmly told Bai Lu that marriage was not a must and that she deserved to live freely without pressure, many believed the conversation had ended there. But what happened later that evening revealed a deeper truth about friendship choices and the hidden expectations of the entertainment world. Stay until the very end because the final moment of this story may completely change the way you see Bai Lu's journey and the quiet role Joseph Zeng played in helping her reclaim her happiness. The night after their conversation carried a strange stillness. The city lights outside Bai Lu's apartment shimmered through tall glass windows while the silence inside the room felt heavier than any argument. Earlier that day, Joseph Zeng had spoken words that seemed simple on the surface, yet carried the weight of years of expectation. Marriage is not a must. At first, Bai Lu had not responded. She had simply looked at him with a mixture of surprise and curiosity, as if trying to understand why someone would say something so different from what the world constantly demanded of her. For years, fans, reporters, and even industry insiders had asked her the same question again and again. When will you settle down? When will you marry? When will you choose someone and start the life everyone expects? The questions had become so common that they almost felt like background noise in every interview she attended. But Joseph Zeng's words cut through that noise like a sudden beam of light. He did not speak loudly, and he did not dramatize the moment. His voice remained calm as he leaned back in his chair and looked directly at Bai Lu with a sincerity that made the room feel unexpectedly quiet. You have already built a life many people only dream about. Your happiness should never depend on a ring or a ceremony. The words lingered in the air. Bai Lu had laughed softly at first, as if trying to lighten the seriousness of the conversation. Yet something about the way Joseph Zeng said it made her pause longer than usual. Because deep inside she knew he was speaking a truth she had rarely allowed herself to consider. Later that evening, after Joseph Zeng left the building, Bai Lu remained near the window watching the lights of the city flicker across the skyline. The reflection of those lights moved across the glass like silent reminders of the countless moments that had shaped her career. Auditions that lasted hours. Long nights memorizing scripts. Filming schedules that stretched from sunrise until the quiet hours before dawn. Every step of that journey had required determination and sacrifice. Yet despite everything she had accomplished, people still seemed to measure her future by a single question: marriage. As she stood there thinking about Joseph Zeng's words, her phone vibrated gently on the table behind her. It was a message. She walked over slowly and picked up the phone, expecting perhaps a casual follow-up conversation. Instead, the message read something simple, yet deeply meaningful. Live your life in your own time. It was from Joseph Zeng. Bai Lu stared at the message for a long moment. Something about those words felt strangely comforting, as if someone had quietly removed a heavy expectation from her shoulders. Across the city, Joseph Zeng was driving through the evening streets while reflecting on the conversation they had shared earlier. He understood that his words might surprise many people, especially in an industry where image expectations and public narratives often shape how actors live their personal lives. But he believed strongly that every person deserved the freedom to choose their own path. And he had seen the pressure Bai Lu faced. During interviews, fans often focused on rumors about relationships rather than the work she poured her heart into. Headlines sometimes turned ordinary friendships into elaborate speculation. Even small gestures were interpreted as signs of secret romances. Joseph Zeng had watched all of it quietly. That was why he spoke honestly earlier that day. Because he believed Bai Lu needed someone to remind her that success and happiness did not have to follow the same pattern everyone else expected. Meanwhile, news of their conversation slowly began spreading through online fan communities. At first, it appeared as a simple rumor shared on small discussion forums. A fan claimed to have overheard part of the conversation while visiting the same cafe earlier that afternoon. Within hours, screenshots of the message began circulating online. Fans were intrigued by the unusual tone of the story. Instead of dramatic conflict or romantic confession, the conversation centered on something much deeper. The idea that a woman in the spotlight could choose her own timeline without pressure from tradition or public expectations. The reaction was immediate. Some fans praised Joseph Zeng for speaking openly about personal freedom. Others admired Bai Lu's calm response and the thoughtful way she listened rather than dismissing the conversation. But the most surprising reaction came from fellow actors who quietly shared their support. Several industry figures reposted quotes from the story alongside messages about independence, personal growth, and the importance of respecting individual choices. Back in her apartment, Bai Lu sat on the couch scrolling through the growing wave of reactions online. The story had traveled farther than she expected, and yet the tone remained surprisingly positive. For once, the conversation was not about scandal or rivalry. It was about freedom. A small smile appeared on her face as she read a comment from a fan that simply said, "Your life is already beautiful." She leaned back and closed her eyes for a moment, remembering the countless roles she had played over the years. Characters searching for love, chasing dreams, facing heartbreak, and discovering their own strength. Perhaps this was one of those moments in her own life story. Not a dramatic turning point filled with arguments or confrontations, but a quiet realization that happiness could exist beyond the expectations others placed upon her. The next morning, Bai Lu arrived on set earlier than usual. The production crew greeted her warmly as they prepared equipment and adjusted lighting across the stage. There was a calm energy in the air, as if the entire team sensed that something meaningful had shifted. When the director called everyone together for rehearsal, Bai Lu stepped into her position with a renewed focus. Joseph Zeng's words echoed softly in her thoughts. Marriage is not a must. The line of dialogue she delivered in that first scene carried a new depth of emotion that surprised even the director. After the scene ended, several crew members exchanged quiet glances. Something about her performance felt different. More confident, more grounded, as if she had stepped into a version of herself that no longer felt constrained by invisible expectations. Later that afternoon, Joseph Zeng visited the set briefly to greet the cast. When he saw Bai Lu across the stage, she walked toward him with a calm smile that said more than words ever could. "Thank you," she said quietly. Joseph Zeng nodded, understanding immediately what she meant. Sometimes the most powerful conversations are the ones that help people see their own lives more clearly. And as the cameras rolled again, capturing another scene, another moment, another story unfolding on screen, fans watching from around the world began to realize that this chapter of Bai Lu's journey might become one of the most inspiring yet. Because it was not about romance rumors or dramatic headlines. It was about something far more powerful: the courage to choose your own path. And if this story moved you even a little, remember to stay with us and follow the next chapter, because what happened after Bai Lu's quiet decision may reveal an even more surprising turn in the lives of these two remarkable stars.